Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. 3-team season ended today. We're getting one do or die tomorrow. Houston's gone? No way, right? Let's talk ball. Bill Maton. You're there.
Mitchell. So much happened.
So much happened, dog. Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. We're starting to record Wednesday, October 2nd. It's going to go into October 3rd. My God. A dynasty of sorts might have ended today, and it feels like it was a week ago. The New York Mets were steps away from playing the Phillies for the first time in the postseason, and now they might not. The Baltimore Birds having some conversations while the Royals, America's team, and then the original America's team, the Padres, just took out a shell of the Braves. We got a lot to cover. Trevor Plouffe, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing great, Jake. You mentioned a lot going on. I was going to do Jackson Merrill, then you hit me with the Phil Maton, and I was like, who hit the homer? Who hit the homer? Because so much, of course, I got my notes here.
Yeah.
A lot of things happened, dude. Jackson Merrill kept hitting the shit out of the ball. It's kind of like all he does. I don't know, man. I'm excited to hear your burns.
Oh.
I told you I'll get you something special if you make me laugh. I probably won't get it to you, just like I won't give Ian Happ his bottle of wine. But
yeah. Ian Happ liked that comment, by the way. Yeah, Trev, I don't even, there's so much I want to horse around a lot. I mean, our guy Jackson Merrill taking a couple steps in and having those young legs to get back on what could have made it an interesting inning. And just hitting everything that's, there's
I got
so
a Houston
much.
Astros take. I have a Houston Astros take.
Jackson Jobe, Jackson Churrillo, what's going on?
I forgot about Jackson Joe being named Jackson.
Jackson Holiday out.
Did he make the roster? Didn't even look at that.
It's all brought to you by SeatGeek. Don't matter. SeatGeek.
Doesn't matter.
You guys know who SeatGeek is. If you're going to a baseball game, you should be going with the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. And to celebrate the postseason, they are giving us code JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10. 10% off to give to you. Whether you're a first-time buyer or not, whether you're going to a ball game, whether you're going to a concert, whatever has a seat. And if you're not ready to do it, if you don't know what you got going on, maybe you're not sure when your team is playing next, you can just enter the code into the app now, and it's in there. Locked. JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10, 10% off your next order at SeatGeek. Click the link in the description. Download the app. It's SeatGeek, people. You like baseball. Go see a game. Is that nuts?
I'm ready for you.
Yeah, you are.
Are we crown-podding it?
Oh, you sure are. The Houston Astros would ask, what can Brown do for you with young Hunter trying to survive? Tyler Holton hears a who in the upstart Tigres. Like the chess club in high school, nobody can score until Parker Meadows goes pole dancing. 1-0 on the solo shot off the tree and right in the sixth. Only mistake by Brown, who was great, but these Astros will not go silently into the night. John Singleton, friend of the pod. Jose Altuve with a sac fly of sorts down the line. 2-run lead, but they let young Jackson Joe Bluth off the hook, which led to a top of the eighth that'll be remembered in Detroit for a long time. Carey Jesus was a carpenter, walks across water and home plate to tie it, and Andy Ibanez has a swing for all the Astros haters. It's like a Christmas swing because everybody is coming home. Hinch and the Kittens take down the boogeyman that he created as Detroit wins 5-2 and takes the series 2-0 final.
What was the Jackson Job?
It's Jackson Joe Bluth. I didn't keep running with the joke there. Joe Bluth, Arrested Development. I don't know if you've dipped your toe in that.
Not familiar, yeah.
An all-time TV character, Will Arnett. And I should have made a follow-up joke on it, but I'm running out of steam.
Sit next to Jolly. He stole the life out of you, man.
Then the life got taken out of him. Thanks for everyone that was in our live stream. Trev, this game is the only game we're going to cover from the month of September, it feels like. Crazy, man. The baby Tigers, they did it. Part of it still doesn't feel real. Part of me feels like I'm going to turn on a game tomorrow and see Altuve hit a leadoff homer. They're out.
They're out. I mean, look, as soon as they won game one, with the guys they were going to throw today, particularly because, Houston hasn't seen this bullpen too much. These guys that, whether it's Holton, Hannafy, Herter, Brisky, they haven't seen them too much. If you see these guys a second day, like if there's going to be another game tomorrow, they're going to have to do that again. I think that's a difference maker. Right. But you win that first game, and Schoolboy gives you the outing that he gave you. This was going to be a very difficult game for the Houston Astros, to score runs in. When you have guys that are on their game like they have been, and you're just seeing a difficult matchup after difficult matchup, not being able to see a guy twice, it's not fun as a hitter. And we kind of saw that, early on. Houston they ground into 3 double plays during the game, which I think was big. But I think so much happened. I want to say you just got to give credit to the Tigers because you kind of do. But that's not the whole story. I don't know, man. Parker Meadows, huge homer, like you mentioned, off the pole, puts them at 1-0. And then I think the game's biggest decision and maybe the most controversial decision was bringing in Jackson Jobe in the bottom of the 7th there. This kid how many big league innings does he have?
Not a lot.
2?
I think we've got four big league innings coming into this.
It's crazy. You put him into that situation. It's a 1-0 game. That's a really tough spot.
3 against the White Sox. Just a little
I know
caveat.
This guy's like going to be the guy. He's a stud, all this, but that is an interesting spot to put him in. I guess if he's on the roster, you're going to use him, but shoot, man. And he looked like nervous.
Right. Should be.
Hit by pitch, single, a bunt, an error on Torkelson, sac fly, like you mentioned. All of a sudden it's 2-1. And I was like, okay, still first and third now. He comes out of the game and Kyle Tucker hits into a double play. And at that moment I said, that's massive because A-Rod right here, or maybe it's different than A-Rod, because does A-Rod want a 1-run lead or a 2-run lead? I think he'd rather have a 1-run lead, right? Isn't that his saying?
That might be one of those Rodisms.
I think he might have said that.
I think you got that.
I'd rather have a 2-run lead.
Yeah.
And
you've always been hot takes on that.
So, they get out of that inning, and now it's your one swing away no matter what. 2 runs, obviously you got to get someone on base, and that just changes the dynamic of an offense and changes, the pressure in that situation. It's like, okay, like we're still right there. Right. First and third, get the ground ball double play. Wow, that's awesome. And then Presley gives it up. I don't know. Like that's what great at bats by the Tigers during that inning. It's what we've seen them kind of do. Hit balls back up the middle, like have good approaches at the plate. So, Kerry Carpenter does it, Vierling does it, and then a horrible wild pitch. Diaz just like with the leg out kind of tries to scoop the slider by Presley. They tie the game up, and I thought that could have been avoided with just a regular old blocking nature, but that wasn't there. And I guess the big at bat's the Ibanez at bat. By the way, 2018. Where was I playing in the Texas farm system? I don't even know. Somewhere in Texas.
Spring.
No, AAA. Me and Andy Ibanez, teammates. Yeah, fingerprints all over that.
Wow. I didn't know.
I know I'm just talking now because I'm just trying to go over the game, trying to remember it. Todd Frazier.
Yeah.
During that at bat, Josh Hader on the mound, throwing heaters. I see him shake off once hears it in his head. He's like, nah, like you just tell he wanted to blow by Ibanez. And Ibanez kept like getting his barrel to the ball. Now he was just underneath it. He was fouling pitches off, but like the timing was there. And Todd was like, I think you got to throw a wrinkle here. I think you got to go down and then with a slider. And next pitch, sure enough, Hader does not get the ball up enough. And that's what allows Ibanez to get the barrel finally to the ball. And that was it, man. It's crazy. And an awesome at bat right there. And that effectively ended the Astros season.
Yeah, it's a couple things. Like you're saying, there's almost too many thoughts. Andy Ibanez highlighted the other day, he's batting against a lefty, got pinch hit immediately. He's in there to hit lefties for what the Tigers' current formula is. So again, it goes to that, we kind of call it that Rays player empowerment of like, hey, lefty, you got to be ready. That's you. He comes in. And I don't know how much it matters. I don't know how Hader is the next day, but did you need to use him in that first game when you were down 3? And that's the stuff you think about when.
Also not a save situation, which is just, I don't know what it is with closers,
right?
But the non-save situations are weird for them.
Yeah, that spiked ball. I mean, that kind of can't happen. And yeah, I want to give it up because Hannafy, Herter, and Gunther. If you asked me the scouting report before the big game, I don't know what I could have given you, Trev. I don't know if I'm doing that to knock myself down a peg or a reminder that you guys know your team better than us, but these guys came in, and when they look at the box score of what ended, I think a version of the Houston Astros that'll be talked about for as long as until I turn into Tim Kirkjian and I'm squeaking on the broadcast. And, do you remember when Josh Reddick used to have a cigarette in the game?
He did.
He did. I think I got that from you. Josh, we're a fan of you. I don't know, man. These kids did it, and it wasn't the prettiest, but they got the pitch, and they got the double play when they needed it, and they got the at-bat when they needed it, and we're seeing a lot of infield singles and blocking balls the other way, and if you got that play in the infield, you need to make it, otherwise you're going to pay, and look around at all the other games today. And I don't know, man, I think there has to be some honesty hours about Houston that this whole year they haven't felt like Houston. There was that 1 3-week span where it felt like we were regurgitating, actually since April 23rd, Houston's been the best team in baseball.
We got a lot of those this year. It was
right?
The Tigers since August.
Right? The Twins.
The Padres. Yeah, it was okay.
The Mets had
we were the first ones to butter knife stats, guys. You guys can't all just start butter knifing the stats. Everyone stop.
This.
I got a couple things for you.
Okay, please.
First of all, we're talking Holton, Herter, and Gunther. Not really a law firm. Could be.
Oh, yeah.
So we know that some of the lefties in the Astros lineup are the biggest threats. Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker. I mean, Jason Hayward, Singleton hit today. They were 0 for this game. And there was times where they came up in big spots and the lefties got the lefties out. You neutralize those lefties, that takes a lot out of the Houston Astros lineup, and they're able to do that. My biggest hot take, and I don't know if it's a hot take, dude. I don't think it really is. I think one team look young and the other team look old. I think the Houston Astros kind of looked old, and I didn't really see a lot of what you saw with the Tigers, or kind of what you're seeing right now with the Padres, the excitement, the exuberance, wasn't really there.
Yeah.
In the 9th inning of the first game, it was there, but that was the crowd helping out. And then, they had some good at bats, but the Tigers were able to just I think because of those double plays that they hit into, those are such momentum killers. It just didn't ever seem like they had it. I guess after Altuve brings a sac fly in, and Pena makes a great slide there.
Yeah.
They take the lead. Yes, some exuberance was there. I get that, but in the other parts of the game, they're just in my mind. That's what I saw. Said this is a young team. This is an old team, and it's kind of happening like that right now.
Yeah, I mean the other thing I'd say, and this is bizarre, right? Because this is the whole thing with baseball, that one game is messed up. These 3 games might be messed up. Like we got 1 3-game series out of this. And hey, I don't know which way you want to point. You could give compliments to a lot of these kids throwing the ball that we're learning about. I mean, Will Vest, pitchers I don't want to see in the postseason right now. Tough to beat Will Vest right now, which I know he had a great year, but it's also being right at the right time. In 2 games, the Houston Astros, that I think they're built on hitting. Like, there's been really good arms that have come through. I mean, Cole Verlander, like, he obviously gets the nod.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. But it's a part of the formula for sure.
Altuve, Correa, George Springer to Jordan to Kyle Tucker. I don't know. I guess that's for a different day. They had 1 extra base hit in 2 days.
Yeah.
And it was Jordan hitting that weird off the ball wall where he walked to second in the first game. So, yeah, I don't know if that's age. I don't know if it's compliments to the chef that is the Detroit Tigers pitching. I don't know if it's a weird amount of luck that we won't be able to embody in these sports in these short series, because I go back to the Jason Hayward ball that, a foot higher, a foot to the right, a foot to the left. We're talking about an Astros walk-off in this game, and we're killing the Tigers in any of their hopes and dreams. So shout out to the kids for doing it. Getting the first run, we do this every year, is so important. And Parker Meadows, talk about getting your hands in, Trev. I mean, I know. But my God, getting his hands in on that to get the barrel on it.
35-degree angle, 100 off the bat.
Yeah.
It's a moon ball.
It's a moon ball. And I just think if we're being real, this Astros team, Victor Caratini playing first base both of these games, that's different.
That's been a tough spot for them all year, yeah.
That's been a tough spot the past 2 years. But remember, Abreu actually kicked in last postseason, and it was like, okay, so he's back to being a bad man. The outfield in the corner center field spot, like that had a little funk to it. And at the same time, like I said, that Hayward ball gets down yesterday. Ryan Presley and Josh Hader, 8 times out of 10, those guys are closer to flawless than getting hit. That it could have been a different story, but it's not. And the Tigers, who have been the hottest team in baseball, like Houston was for a stretch, God, I think they officially crossed into, like, I don't want to see those cats. Like, they're
100%.
They're playing
the at-bats. I think that's what's impressed me, is that we know about the pitching. It's been great. I think during the year we wondered how they were going to keep it up, and I really don't know if it is sustainable. I think even Hinch says, like, I don't know if that's sustainable through 162, but it was for 2 months.
Right.
And that's what they did. It's just you have that. So the pitching's been great, but the quality of at bats that these guys have been taking has been really, really impressive. And that actually, I mean, I feel like it goes 1 through 9. The numbers obviously aren't, I mean, it's a really small sample size here, and you can go back to the season. The numbers aren't great, but I think they're just like the quality of the at bats, the at bats that they're working. It's impressed me.
They got a little zombie to them. Like, it's a mix of kids, and it's a mix of, like, well, if we die, we were dead, dude. So I might as well go out and give it my best, because 0.2% chance to make the postseason, and now they're going to go on and play the Cleveland Guard Dogs. It's an AL Central year. It always has been.
3 teams from AL Central still in the playoffs.
Trev, I mean, again, we got a ton of ground to cover. Is there anything else between these 2 teams you want?
It's officially Alex Bregman season. Where's he going to go? That's all I got. We'll see.
It's interesting. He's going to be one of the big names of this offseason.
Altuve quotes about that.
We've got we're gonna have a preview episode come out probably late tomorrow night after the Mets Brewers game 3 that we're gonna preview all of the DS series for you. So you'll hear about Tigers Cleveland then. For Houston, I think people know, and this is where we've landed on the term fan media. A lot of Yankee fans in this office, and a lot of eyeballs open wide. Like, wait,
that's so soft.
They're really, dude. Team soft. I know you know I'm normally the other team, but I've seen what those guys do. That the Yankees, they
didn't want to see him.
The Yankees' expectations just got really real. That they've got to take down 2 AL Central teams to get there, and it makes potential heartbreak, I think, even more real. So
it does. Also, AJ Hinch he's having somebody write up his like post game celebrations. Yeah, he had another one-liner in the hip today. I'm on to you, AJ.
Okay,
I'm on to you. Someone's writing it. This one today was, I don't know who, but someone let these Tigers get hot.
And I mean, Tim Kirkjian just. How the AJ Hinch, the manager that did it, and now he's the manager of Detroit.
It's not a bad.
I'm turning into him. That's what's happening. Tim
Kirkjian doesn't talk about the game. He talks about people that he's met in the past that remind him of something that's happening in the game.
Trev, I told you like we were doing some work around the office. I know people don't think we do, and I actually walked out to get lunch, but I was watching on my phone at one point, like catching my one breath of fresh air from the day, and I was listening on my phone, and Kirkjian was just listing off all-time Tigers, and I was like, bro.
Yes. And he was like definitively saying, this guy's the best.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what?
He was Al Kaline's the second best. Al Kaline's the second best defensive. He's the second best defensive right fielder who's ever played. And I'm racking my head. I'm like, is he talking about Clemente? Like he kind of gets the respect. And I'm like, hey Pop, I didn't see a lot of Kaline, but I'll take Ichiro over him.
I'll take Ichiro.
I'll take Vladdy Senior in his prime was pretty nasty. I don't know.
I'll take Abraham Lincoln. I don't know.
I think there's one day when I get invited to like Buster Olney, Kirkjian, Jason Stark's like house, and they just tell me all the rules. Like, no, Al Kaline is the second best Tiger behind Ty Cobb, and he's the second best right fielder all time, and I have to repeat it back. Get yourself a Mountain Dew. Get off your ass. Watch the playoff baseball with us, and when you're not, walk around. Go for a hike. Play some blitzball. We got our warehouse is packed to the gills with Mountain Dew, and it's bold, refreshing citrus kick that'll make you feel like you're on an actual mountain. Tossing the Frisbee around. I drink it when I go fishing. Mountain is calling. You should answer. Grab your friends. Grab an ice cold Mountain Dew wherever refreshing beverages are sold, and do the do. The Royals would hock up a Lugo on the Orioles and send them on a stairway to heaven, with Led Zeppelin being their only hope to ramble on. Top 1 Pasquatch sighting in Baltimore. Big time hit from a guy I accidentally big timed. It's 1-0 Royals. Into the 5th, Cedric the Entertainer gets rid of the O's for the O's. Their first run, a solo dong. Like a good night out, we're tied up at 1. Lugo and Eflin were both solid outings. The bullpens were great. The defense was good. But the Birds get outwit again. Infield single for Bobby. 4.2 shutout from the Kansas City Pen. And it's over before it started for the Baltimore Birds again. Royals 2, Orioles 1 as they complete the mini sweep.
You like to be tied up, huh?
there's a lot of trust involved. You need a safe word. I have a good friend that has a good story about the word barracuda. I don't think he wants me sharing that on this, but
if you tell me your safe word, you have to change your safe word, I think.
Right. That's not mine. I get confused by fish, so I wouldn't just pick one of them. He was screaming.
I know what your safe word would be.
Go on.
Bernie Williams. That's your guy.
Burnaby. Anyways.
Okay.
Trev. I don't know how Kirkagini I have to get about this. We're going to have a lot of off-season to talk about stuff that's probably unfair to these Baltimore Orioles for what is now a 5-game postseason sample that is 0-5. But in this game, man, there were some big defensive plays. MJ Melendez into the wall. In a way, it was good playoff baseball, and in a way, I feel for the people of Baltimore, man. Like, this is brutal.
They were close, but they just didn't come through when it counted. And I think what you mentioned, like the defensive plays that was the story of the game. Because you can watch like great fundamental baseball by the Royals in the first inning, Bobby Witt moving the runner over, Vinny driving him in, then Cedric answers with the homer. But the difference is the Royals made all those great defensive plays. Melendez goes and gets it. Massey saves a run by diving to his right. Jordan Westberg, the ball that Bobby Witt had
I'd love to know your thoughts, Trev.
I think he got to go two there. In your mind, if you leave your feet, Bobby Witt Jr. is the fastest guy in baseball. So you have, like, in your mind, you tell yourself that before. If I'm leaving my feet, if I'm not going to my left towards first base, I got to look to second for the force out there. Gunnar was a little late getting there, but
you got to leave that
decision.
Throw.
That was the end.
Yeah. You're not getting Bobby.
That was the go-ahead run.
You're not getting Bobby.
I think you tell yourself that as an infielder.
Yeah.
At second base, I would say, if I'm leaving my feet to my right, Bobby's out of the question. If I'm leaving my feet to my left, then yeah, I got a chance. But with the force out at second base, I think, maybe he just was caught up in the moment and said, I got to get rid of this thing no matter what. Maybe he didn't see Gunnar there because Gunnar was a little late. But that's little stuff like that when these games are, when they mean so much in these short series. Like, those are the things that change the game. Massey makes his play, and Westberg just, he made a great play, but Bobby would beat it out.
Yeah, and I guess because at first I was like, damn, that's tough. Jordan Westberg's trying to make a play. It's Bobby Witt. With that dive up the middle, and there's zero chance to get Bobby Witt. He's one of the fastest baseball players down the line, that even if Gunner's a step behind or whatever, you got to try for second because it goes from 0% to 10, 15, 50. I have no clue. But you're right. In a play where there was a ton of great plays defensively, and every guy that came out of the bullpen, and whether that's because of the defensive help, kind of did their thing. That was it.
I think Orioles fans are yelling right now, what about the fifth? Cedric hits the homer. They load the bases up. They have nobody out. They have Anthony Santander at the plate. And they get nothing.
Pop
up. Colton Cowser takes a swing off his knuckles or his chest, whatever it was. Tough. That was tough. And then it was Adley. And it's just, I think those two situations, obviously you got to mention that. You don't score with bases loaded, nobody out. Then you miss the defensive play, and here we are, 2-1 game, man.
Hey, and the pitch from Zerpa. Yikes.
Shout out Zerpa. Like,
97
he was in AAA at like in August, dude. Like, he got demoted.
Yeah, I think he whatever happened, he found it. I think his like last 7 coming into the postseason were cleaner. Yeah, he found something. If MLB guys are swinging at that. Yeah, and hey, as bullpen, we're still in a weird place with baseball because something about it feels dirty, but Zerpa, Schreiber, who they traded for before the season, and we were like, okay, Royals, like, knock yourself out with Schreiber. Long, who's bounced around a little bit. Bubic, who was supposed to be one of their young starting pitching core, who has found something in the pen. And Lucas Erceg.
I got some Bubic rookie cards.
Okay.
He was like a big prospect.
Okay.
They had a lot of his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Royals do something crazy this October, and we'll find some kids in KC for you to flip them to. Hey, man, I'm a Yankees fan. I admit that. Adley Rutschman, dude. I know he got the one single. He had another 2-0 pitch down the middle that he just took, and he couldn't pull the trigger on, and he ends up pulling the trigger on a worse 2-1 pitch, and now he's got 2 strikes on him. And again, it's where this game is weird. You don't know what's mental, what's physical, what's baseball. We had some Orioles fans, because I asked this last time. I was like, comment what's going on. They said there's a bad foul pitch or something in a game in June, and hey, who knows?
And that coincides with his slide. Yeah, I saw that.
So you never know, but that's the difference in these games. I'm not putting it solely on Adley Rutschman, because the difference could have been if Mountcastle runs into one. The difference could have been if Santander ran into one. Like, Gunnar goes 0 for the series.
I mean, he had the last at bat.
And did he? Like, I know that's me being a jerk, like 1,000%, but like Erceg, sheesh, that he gave him the business. Nasty. He gave him the business, man.
Yeah.
Again, there's going to be an interesting Orioles offseason. Santander was huge for them. Corbin Burns, and it's going to be interesting to see what this new ownership regime, who said they were going to spend and bring guys in. You got options.
We call the baby birds. We used to call Blue Jays what?
Hey, man.
The baby Jays.
I
mean, look, I'm a guy that never played in the playoffs.
Right.
I'm just a guy watching the game, just a guy observing what's going on. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to them, but there's a time where these players, these young guys who have had immense success over the last 2 years in the regular season, to get to where they want to go, they have to have the success in the postseason. They haven't been able to do it
yet. Another thing that if this was talking Orioles, I would have thrown out yesterday, and I think I mentioned very briefly, I like Cedric Mullins at bats the most yesterday. Like, could he have potentially been slid up the lineup instead of the 8 guy? I don't know. It's a lot of questions when you don't win, and when you do win, even if it's a 2-1 game, Matt Quatraro and the Royals, they feel like superheroes. Bobby Witt in a 1-0 and a 2-1 game somehow has both game-winning RBI. Pasquantino back, has the first RBI in the first inning and the first run scored. Their pitching is nasty. And they're going to go on to face my Yanks. And their pitching is a problem. And if they stay in games, which every playoff team stays in games, like, look around at all these series. Like, the pitching gets that much better that you don't see a lot of crooked numbers on the board. That they're a scary team, man.
They're the real deal. They are. I mean, I think that we're seeing a change in kind of, well, maybe it's just going back to what used to win baseball games too. You certainly need home runs in the postseason. If you out-homer your team, you're going to probably win. But how many infield hits have we seen? How many extra bases taken have we seen? And it's the teams that have gone more athletic, faster, and focused on, some defense. The Orioles have been one of the best defensive teams in the league, and it showed today. They take the extra base and they get a guy on, and they were stealing at will, essentially. Like, every time the Royals pinch ran someone, they just took second base, and makes a difference, dude.
Well, and that's I'm going to actually make Dalton do it. Infield singles and opposite field hits. Just
we've seen a lot of that in the next series you're probably going to talk about.
Just flick it and a hit to rally in the playoffs.
Just flick it, bro. So easy.
Hey, R.I.P. to Pete Rose. Hitting's all with your hands. You know, I watched the clip that went around the internet the other day. Easy game.
There's a lot of stuff going around the internet.
It sure is.
There's a lot.
Baby hippos.
I'm not into the baby hippo.
Yeah, Mudang. Did I get it? I keep blanking on the name. There's a lot of stuff that pops up on my Instagram feed. Looks like Sydney Sweeney's working with a new product. Royals. We'll be talking Royals-Yanks again coming up in that preview episode. Congrats to the Royals. Kind of a tough. They run a lot, which is tough for the Yanks. They got a tough lefty. They got a lot of lefties in the pen. And the Orioles, it's a very interesting offseason for them.
I gotta look it up now.
And we'll have some time. What's that?
Just keep going.
One? That baby hippo?
No.
Oh boy.
I'm getting it up.
And hey, know what I might look into? Booking.com.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe a trip to beautiful Kansas City. Great barbecue, I've heard. I've never had it. I've had barbecue. I've had that Carolina Q. I've had Texas Q. I've had Oklahoma. I've had St. Louis. I have not had Kansas barbecue. And
it's really good.
I heard people say it's the best. So I might have to go down there and book with Booking.com, get a hotel, bed and breakfast, vacation rental, a resort, wherever you want to say. Booking.com has it. They're the place to make any U.S. city a good stay for you. Right now, go book on Booking.com. Go check out your baseball rival city even. Download the Booking.com app. Go check it out today. Oh, God.
I thought Sal Perez might hit Garrett Cole really well. Just in my mind, that made sense. He doesn't. 1 for 15. One homer, though.
Big Sally don't hate chasing. The strike zone's just a concept to Sal.
Don't know what the numbers say, but the rest of the pitching staff, he has no problem hitting homers off.
Okay.
He'll be there. Grab some M&Ms to watch Manaea and Montas in Milwaukee. Algonquin for the good place, but potentially the sad place if the Mets can make them grimace. Top one finding Nimmo as he fishes an RBI single, but Jackson ate his Cheerios. Lead-off homer for the kid, but the answered back. Francisco, that's a fun name. Alvarez and Lindor with RBIs. It's 3-1 Mets in the second, and it'd stay that way into the eighth. The kid has arrived. Churrillo goes Yabo again, and Trev, the freshman, is great, but don't forget about the sophomores. Garrett Mitchell leaves the park. The Mets are stunned, and Devin Williams won't help that. Game 3 tomorrow as the Crew survives 5-3 final.
I've been getting absolutely hammered in my bracket. Tigers move on. Kansas City moves on. I said that San Diego and the Mets would end the series in 2 games. That obviously didn't happen here. It's been tough for me.
You're okay.
I got San Diego right, though.
You're right.
This has been a hell of a series, dude. This has been a hell of a series. Like 2 teams playing great baseball right in front of our eyes. And at no point during either of these games has anything felt comfortable. Like we talked about yesterday, like when the Padres went up 3-0, I was like, it's over. It doesn't feel that way at all here. And the games have proved that as well. Jackson Churrill's the guy.
Yeah.
It's the guy. I mean, you just don't see people have the power to right field like he showcased there. You know who had power like that? as a right-hander. Chris Davis.
Okay.
With the K.
Okay.
Just like turn his wrist over. He had one of the weirdest swings, but he had prodigious power to right field. And Chiriot hasn't really shown that this year. I think they said only 4 of his homers have been oppo. The one he hit in the 8th.
As a big boy homer.
That was insane.
As a big boy
That
homer.
is just, I mean, look where it hits off of. That thing's got juice behind it, man.
Yeah.
That's a reminder, he's 20 years old. Like he looks every bit of a star. Don't do that.
He sure does. He sure does.
How old's Juan Soto?
Hey,
Older.
Chiriot looks older than me. And he's a lot better at baseball. And he's gotten paid, so we're good about that. We're not going to talk about his age.
This was just a great game.
Yeah.
I loved everything that happened. The Mets are being super aggressive on the base pass. They're having those great swings, like you mentioned. You know, shooting the ball through the 4-hole is awesome. They said it on the broadcast. The Mets went first to third 4 times in the first 2 innings. I mean, taking the extra base. It really has been like a masterclass in baseball. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Besides the pitchers fielding that's been going on there that I just can't freaking stand.
Crazy.
It's been awesome to see, dude.
Yeah, I think all right. So the ride of this game, answering back in baseball immediately the next half inning is important, and the Mets did that, and they're up. And Trev, I don't know, man. I didn't like the Maton move. I know he's been very solid for the Mets. What I don't know is Edwin Diaz's true availability. The Mets said he was available tonight. The manager, Mendoza, said he was available for a few batters, so it sounds like they would have had him on a leash because, a reminder, he threw a ton of bullets in that the first game of that doubleheader, and that was pitching on back-to-back days, which guys feel that, and it's clearly a decision they had to make before the game of how we're going to do this. It's the top of the lineup. Chiriot is currently the bad man in the series, the guy that can't beat you, and they kind of let him beat you. I know it's the tying homer, but Garrett Mitchell. You talk about Chiriot's power. I didn't know what kind of juice Garrett Mitchell had, and that ball got out. I was wondering if it was going to get down in the gap. It got out of the building. And again, credit to these Brewers that did score all year, and that we kept trying to remind people of that. I don't know, man. It's very much hindsight is 2020. Like, Stanek looked incredible, and he threw 11 pitches.
Say he threw 11 pitches. He could have kept them in. I get that. It's so easy for us. It's so easy for us to say that all right now.
And we're also talking about the manager, unfortunately, does have to think about if the worst were to happen. What do you got for tomorrow? So, if Diaz pitched today, I doubt he'd have a lot of juice for tomorrow. Budo, who looked incredible over 2 innings in the first game, he's going to be fully juiced tomorrow. It's just so scary in baseball, man, because there could be innings that aren't very important tomorrow. Probably not, but I don't know. That it has the potential to sting. I'll say this Mets team doesn't have that attitude. Like, they lost a baseball game today to a good team, and good on the Brewers for getting that rally in, because what would we have done? We would have given the same sad, all right, Orioles were good this year, and you needed a couple more, and Astros, well, they could have done a couple things different, but hey, they're the one team that has bucked a now like 16 out of 18 game trend or whatever it is. Good on them for keeping it together for a couple more at bats to get this done.
2 for 11 with runners in scoring position for the Mets. I think that's obviously part of the issue as well. You gotta, you can go first to third and you can do all these things, but you got to continue to go and pass the baton and drive those runs in. Brewers were 0 for 3, but Chirio's got a couple solo homers and Mitchell hits that bomb. And that was an electric moment in Milwaukee because you have Chirio tied the game up. So now all of a sudden the place is juiced, right?
Yeah.
Place is juiced. Blake Perkins gets a knock. Place is like, okay. Then they ground into a double play. And it's like, okay, settle down. And then Adames gets the hit. And then Garrett Mitchell tore the roof off that place, dude. It was awesome. It's really, really cool to see.
Yeah, and I guess Garrett Mitchell, I referenced the freshman sophomore thing because that was a thing for a minute and then it was instantly gone. And then Chirio does what he does with his rookie year. Good for Mitchell, man, who ended up having a nicer regular season than I thought over, again, another shortened season for him. But this guy was a legit prospect that's dealt with some serious injuries. And if I told you, go look at the stats on his Baseball Reference, you would come in low. Career 805 OPS in 116 games. So, and this is a guy, we talk about the Brewers' depth and how these Brewers hit differently. This guy came in as a pinch runner. He wasn't in the lineup for this one because it was Mania the lefty, who Mania was really, really good. So this one in in 3 series that's, let's be honest, they haven't sold this new playoff format in any way. If this series was happening 4 times, we would say this new format is sick.
It's a beautiful Baseball Reference page right there.
It's not bad, right? 121 OPS plus, stealing bags.
Playing center field.
Sure.
I had a couple more things. Now I'm looking for them.
Okay, that's fine. I believe in those eyes. Catch up to a hunch.
I have one more thing to say. Oh, 2 more things. That's what it was. I don't have that written down. This is stupid, but it's baseball. Like I feel like it really works. Bottom of the 8th. I told you all the time. You go ahead in the bottom of the 8th. It's the best feeling in the world on a baseball field. You just have to get 3 outs. You don't even got to hit in the 9th. You're like, all right, let's go, baby. So they go ahead with the Mitchell homer. Hoskins pops out like within the first 2 pitches, just real quick. I think that's like I feel like that's just good for the momentum, dude. Don't prolong it anymore. Yeah. We have everything going. Let's go get those 3 outs. That might be just stupid player thinking, but when he hit that fly ball and it was out in 2 seconds after the homer, and I was like, you know what? I think that's a good thing. And then the second thing I want to bring up was Jesse Winker gets the last at bat against Devin Williams. The whole place is booing him. I was kind of rooting for Jesse Winker in that situation.
He was calm, cool, and collected.
And he ends up flying out. So do you think he crossed paths with Adames? Like he's running that out?
Interesting. Hey, know who's incredible? Devin Williams.
Yeah.
Came into the playoffs with a 13 scoreless streak, and you probably hadn't heard because he does that. Like his numbers on the year are video game stuff: 1.25 ERA, 38 strikeouts and 21.2 innings.
We thought when Hader was pitching in Milwaukee, we were like, we've never seen a guy like this.
Yes.
And then there was Devin Williams, like, hey, we'll just trade this guy because we got this guy. So. Good for him.
Tomorrow night, tune in. We're doing one more live stream. We're doing a bunch more, but the final game of the wild card, I think the John Bino's in because he wants to put it in his history bank, and we'll have Jolly Olive's very real emotions. And dude, again, thanks to everyone that did tune in. I think we had over 2,000 for a while tonight live.
Need more of that.
2.5.
It's crazy. Thank you guys. We don't say it enough.
I was in the chat a little bit.
I always say subscribe. You were in the chat, Mix.
And while you're here, please subscribe.
You are the chat.
I'm in the chat.
You're a man of the people.
I like watching these things. I was cooking dinner. I was doing all sorts of stuff. I'm a Renaissance man.
You really are.
Always been a utility player.
not.
Put you anywhere.
I would have loved to tell 22-year-old Trevor Plouffe that you're a utility player. Let's we've got one last game to get through.
Let's do it, baby.
Braves looking to get max effort out of Fried and the boys after their brutal travel in Game 1, but local San Diegon Disco Joe Musgrove would try to bring them to make weekend plans to visit L.A. Top 1, Ozuna from the Braves with the RBI sac fly. It's 1-0. Padres load the bases in the first, no outs. Max Fried's himself out of it. But in the second, Padres cycle in the inning. Arise single, Machado double, Jackson Merrill triple. Higgy is your daddy. 5-1 Padres after the second. San Diego Sun provided a little solar power, but it's only a solo dong to make it 5-2. In the eighth, deuce for deuce as Harris goes yard. 2-run job, 5-4 Padres. But Albert Suarez's kid bro shuts the door. Get ready to take the 5, Braj. San Diego takes out the Braves 5-4. See you in LA, baby. Don't even need the 405.
You do need the 405.
Shit.
I think.
Okay.
If you want to go direct, you have to go a little out of the way with the 5. 405 turns back into the 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. Trev, I feel bad that this series became an afterthought because Game 1 was an afterthought. The game they were following was the good game of each of the past 2 days. And when it's 5-1 after 2, and this Braves team that is missing 3 superstars in a sport that doesn't have a lot of those, it felt like it was getting late early. I'm proud of Michael Harris, too, who was easily the best player for the Braves in these 2 games. Yes. My God. Putting a little fight and a little bit of a scare in them, but Padres get it done. Your scare is, Musgrove leaves with an arm injury. But the Padres, everything you looked for, a lot of great performances in the bullpen. Arise hits everything. Tatis is locked in. Machado with the bases clearing double, after he doesn't clear them in the first. I don't. What do you have written down on that paper?
Well, I got a lot of things written down. First, this whole San Diego thing. A lot of people have been coming out of the woodworks as San Diego Padres fans now. Maybe they haven't. Maybe I'm just noticing now because we're watching them in the playoffs. But guys that I love, Tony Hawk was there in the front row getting crazy.
Yeah, that was
all
sick.
All the guys from Blink-182 were super into the Padres. So Higashioka's playing a guitar that Tom DeLonge gave him. It's kind of my high school days, coming back to life. A lot of flat bills in the stands.
Yeah, it's an interesting crowd.
Some Dickies and some black socks and some skate shoes, bro. Here we go. That's kind of where I come from. Anyways, that has nothing to do with the game. It was an interesting one, Jake. Because the Braves, they do come out and get that early lead, which I think they had to do.
Yeah.
And Max Fried has always kind of had his first inning problems, especially this year. He gets into some trouble, but gets out of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's huge. That is massive. And then in the second inning, 6 straight 2-out knocks. And those are just soul crushers. Obviously, Higgy started it off. Jackson Merrill ended it. It seemed like every time Jackson Merrill was up, he hit an absolute, for lack of a better term, piss missile.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, Atlanta had their chances. But again, even when Matt Olson was up, as the tying run, he's facing Tanner Scott, who he was 0 for 7 against coming into the at-bat. And he actually puts together a good at-bat and lines out the profile, but it just didn't feel like it was going to happen. And I don't know, maybe Braves fans felt different. I feel like they didn't. I felt like they had that feeling as well. That's what I was getting on my social media from them. And then like they get to Jason Adams, which is nice, but if you don't tie the game there, you got Suarez coming in the ninth, and it's like, what are you going to do? Like this Padres team is just built. Like it's hard to have sustained rallies against them because they have so many people to put out the fires. They have a bunch of bullpen guys they can go to that they really trust. They have a contact hitter in Luis Ariz that's just hitting, singles all over the place, having great at bats, running up pitchers' pitch counts, getting on base for Fernando Tatis. Like they have everything, man. Like Machado looked good playing defense today. Like they have the vibes. They have the vibes, Jake.
In that second inning, I didn't realize it was all with 2 outs and 2 strikes on Higgy. That he sends his second homer into the bleachers.
Is there a wild card MVP?
There's not.
I think he wins it, right?
I think there's a chance.
Well, we're gonna give it to him. Congratulations.
His second homer, and that guy. If you don't know, if you like people that play kind of without a pulse, he's the anti-Jake. Our famous story from this guy. He was a Yankee. We did a podcast with him, one of the first player podcasts we did. We're a little nervous, and at the end of like 30 minutes, I hit him with anything you want to talk about, Higgy? And he's like, no, I'm not much for talking. And we're like, okay, good podcast. That's literally the whole thing, pal.
Was that in the streets of the Tampa it was in spring training facility?
In the parking lot of the Yankees spring training facility. So think about that. The ball player.
Was that the famed 2020 spring training trip?
The ball player.
We need to re-release those videos, Jake.
The ball player that was willing to meet us in a parking lot for the interview just hit back-to-back games with home runs against the Atlanta Braves.
Tyler Wade, I believe, also came out.
He sure did.
Not true?
He sure did.
Fingerprints all over this Padres team.
I mean, and it's a look-alike thing too with me and Tyler. I guess Padre fans waiting to hear the news on Joe Musgrove, like you said, and it's a great point. Like, I guess until they get one of the longer series where your bullpen can get tested more, but they're going to have, you're not going to get a ton off a bullpen guy because they're going to have someone else, so you're going to have to get their starters, and their starters are really good that they have
Dylan Cease and Yu Darvish lined up to go after going through the wild card.
Tigers are rolling out children and Yu Darvish waiting for
thick-neck Tyler Holton is going to go shut down your Yanks.
Yu Darvish waiting for
or the guards,
probably 5 different Hall of Fame plaques in different parts of the world, just chilling, just let me know when you need me. Here's Hanafi.
Isn't Yu Darvish half Armenian as well? Am I crazy to think that?
Trev, I don't know. I got a lot in here. I don't have.
Yeah, Beavers is on it. Beavers is on it.
I feel bad I didn't highlight Zach McKinstry's nice play in the first inning of the Houston-Detroit game, but I don't have Darvish's full lineage.
His father is Iranian.
Did you know that?
Is that Persian?
That's that.
I've
area.
always struggled
in the Persian Gulf.
I've always struggled with that. Someone's like, "Oh, they're Persian," and I think that's
that's the Iran area of the world.
Okay. Shout out to all our Persian listeners.
I'm big in those parts. The Egyptian people and the Persians have had a very nice relationship.
They're good.
That's what I've heard before. I've heard that.
It's different.
Don't fact check.
What? It's getting. You
said we weren't fact checking.
You know when it's getting late and talking baseball.
They're always fact checking me for some reason.
Braves, man. I think I said Braves fans were going to feel the 2 sides of the coins. This was either going to be a team that got a ton of heartstrings because you got Ramon Laureano and Gio Urshela battling out there. Ozzie Albies hitting righty against righties. My God.
Dude, that didn't get talked about enough. What a freaking soldier, dude.
Did you see the at-bat he was taking against Jason? Dude, maybe sequence or maybe I have to bust out a Jake down. He's just pulling out against Jason Adam, just like hoping to not get hit by the ball because he's short-arming it and he's throwing pitches that move every direction. And he's battling up there, dude. And he almost got a hold of one. I know for what Braves fans expect nowadays, this team won't be, won't be hanging in the rafters for a lot. But Strider, Acuna,
they still have everybody.
They're missing 2 Cy Young winners.
I know, but like I'm saying, like, hey, this sucks this year.
Yeah,
this sucks for the Braves, right? Still made the playoffs. You were down Acuna, Riley, Strider, and Sale.
It's nuts.
Okay, all of those guys are there next year. Plus the guys that played, like they're still very much set up to be a force in this league. I know this year didn't go like you liked, but you trust me. Would you trade places with a Twins fan?
Oh God.
Is that the litmus test now?
No,
it might be.
I don't think so. They'll have I'm going to say they're going to pick up the 16 million team option on Ozuna. Max Fried, your guy. It's going to be a fun offseason for him. And he deserves it. San Diego, LA.
Yes.
5 games, the Plouffe Brother Bowl. It is.
I need to make my way down for one of those games.
I will say this, and again, we're going to preview this coming up for you guys tomorrow night or the next morning. You mentioned Darvish and Cease, who haven't pitched yet, while the Dodgers are not piecemealing a rotation. That's a little too far.
Jack Flaherty,
Jack
first
Flaherty,
game.
who they got at the deadline. Man, both of these bullpens, these are going to be fun. These are going to be so fun. I shouldn't even be talking about it because, like you said, I didn't grow up with the Black Sox and back at it again with the fresh vans. But you
lifted
did.
Trucks,
Yes.
Zebra belts,
Corona extras
in the tailgate, cut off Dickies, Black Sox vans.
Can you put together for game 1 like your best Cali outfit you got?
I can. I got all that stuff. This is I wasn't this guy.
Right.
Right. I wasn't that guy, but I was like this guy.
I went with a couple flat brims. I gotta find you'd like, and this is a bad way to end a great show. I had an outfit I called my Travis Pastrana outfit in college. It was like a green, like
shout out Trav.
It was like a green. I forget if it was Quicksilver or something. And I had like a flat brim green hat I would wear with it, and I'd come out, and the fellas would be like, "All right, so that's what you're trying to play tonight, huh, pal?" Didn't it work?
That is the land that I am from, Castaic Lake, California. Shout out.
L.A., San Diego.
Ours was this Castaic Lake,
and then all of the AL Central. Boogity, boogity, boogity. We find out who goes to play the Phillies tomorrow night. My God. Brewers,
go to sleep,
Mets.
Pop.
Brewers, Mets. Brewers, Mets. Alonso.
Thanks for subscribing.
Vientos. Oh, my God. You got to start Garrett Mitchell. Or do ya?
You start Acuna or Iglesias? Iglesias. Yeah.
Pat Murphy.